Hello, welcome to another edition of the Orange Bloods Texas Football Channel on YouTube. I'm Geoff Ketchum, joined by Anwar Richardson. We are the men in black today. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We would really appreciate both of those things. This is a Wednesday show. It's time for a little buy or sell. We're taking your questions. We're giving you the answers back. If you want to get involved, take part, drop comments in the comments section on however you want to answer any of the buy or sell questions. And next Wednesday, take a look out for us on Twitter or Orange Bloods. You can submit your questions and have your questions taken. Anwar, first question comes from Hat on orangebloods.com. Buy or sell. Prior to the recent leadership changes, Regents, President, and AD, Texas was the Dallas Cowboys of college football.
I mean, I would buy in some ways, but there's two things. Let me say, first of all, I would buy the premise that the Dallas Cowboys are football, right? Because it's been a long time since the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl. It's been 2009 since Texas has won a Big 12 championship. But do they have all the glitz? Do they have all the glamour? Are they the marquee name? Like all of that? Absolutely. So 100% on that. My hesitation, the only reason why I hesitated is I don't know if we've changed out of the Cowboys thing yet. And I'm just talking about from a football perspective. So that's my only hesitation. I'm like, I get the analogy. Makes perfect sense.
You think they may still be the Dallas Cowboys?
Still be the Cowboys in 2021 if things don't go the way that you planned. Because the only thing that's changed is, there's a couple of names, but we still did some shows the other week, Ketch, when we were still saying 8 wins, 9 wins, so on and so forth. And going into SEC doesn't change that. So, I mean, I buy it, but there's another part of that question that hasn't been answered.
I'm kind of with you, other than I would say, look, I feel like as a Cowboys fan, I'm the person to ask on this one.
Sure.
As a Cowboys fan, I don't feel like I get all there are parallels, but I have no hope as a Cowboys fan. None. I mean, we're almost 3 decades into this Cowboys thing. And I don't know, although I will say the Charlie Strong era, very much like the Dave Campo era, but maybe slightly worse. Maybe that was Chan Gailey. I don't know. I would just offer the Cowboys are so much deeper than the Longhorns are into this thing that I'm not sure I quite buy that yet. Junk Bonds on Orange Blood says, buy or sell Anwar, Texas ends up playing in the SEC for the 2022 football season.
I think I'm going to buy that one. The reason is look, the one thing I do not believe is that the University of Texas officials woke up one morning and said, man, maybe we should just go to another conference. Do we have a plan? Nah, we'll just figure it out. We're winging it. I don't think UT officials are winging this. I don't think Oklahoma is winging this. I think there is a plan in place. And I'm just going to be shocked, Ketch. I'll be really shocked if they're going to do a limbo state for the next 2 years, 3 years. And that's the only thing that they're talking about. Now, the Big 12 is going to have to figure out what it needs to do as far as getting new teams in and of course, the penalty. But I would definitely today, just based off opinion and nothing factual, I would just base that 2022 looks like a really strong possibility. So I'll buy.
No, I'm with you on that. Cappy on Twitter at Catton ATXO208. It's a very complicated username on Twitter. Yeah. He asks, Big 12 buy or sell, Big 12 refs will set new depths of ineptitude in potentially their last season. Buy or sell.
Can I sell on that one?
I'm buying.
You're gonna buy? Okay, tell me why you're buying.
Because the screw jobs are going to be in. I have, as someone that has followed University of Texas football, I've seen all of the departures. Every team that's the Southwest Conference and the Big 12 they're just notorious for bad officiating. But I'm old enough to remember when Grant Taft had his last game as head coach at Baylor against Texas, and there were like 45 calls that were just inexplicable inexplicably terrible. And I was a Baylor fan that day. This is back when I was a kid going to Baylor games. I sat in the stands that day. I rooted for Baylor to beat Texas. And I watched the fix being in. Texas and Oklahoma are getting some screw jobs this year. Just got to be ready for it. It is going to happen.
Well, it's funny. The only reason I was going to sell was because I was going to say I don't think it could get any worse. But apparently the Big 12 officials might say, hold my beer. So I could be 100% wrong.
Yeah. Buy or sell. Texas wins an SEC championship in football before Texas A&M.
Oh, that is a hell of a question.
Not from DD Rules 64 on Orange Bloods. It is a hell of a question.
I mean, it's tough because A&M's close, right? I mean, well, first of all, they're in the conference.
They? They're closer.
They're closer.
Or are they close?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anyone, I mean, are we talking we have to wait for Saban not to be there for Bama to get dethroned?
Or you're going to have a team that can beat Saban. I mean, either he leaves or you get good enough that you're better.
Man, that is one of the best buy or sell questions I've had. Might be the best one we've had. You go first.
I'm going to go buy because A&M hasn't won a single conference championship since 1998. So, we beat up Texas for what it hasn't done, but in the reality, we're talking almost 3 decades for Texas A&M.
I think A&M is closer.
They are closer.
I think they're closer at this point.
That's Texas is 1,000 miles away and A&M is only 50. I mean, 50 miles is still a long way to go. 50 miles might as well be 1,000 if you're that far away. Correct. I think A&M's closer, but I don't think they're beating Alabama anytime soon. And I think that I think they're set for a couple of bridesmaid finishes under Jimbo Fisher. And I just don't know that I'm confident that they'll accomplish while they've got the edge, while they're marginally, I think, better than Texas right now, because we think Texas is like a 9-3 team. A&M might be a 10-2 type team in the SEC this year. I'm not going to get anybody pissed off at me over this video today, at least on this question. I think I can safely say Texas wins an SEC championship in football before A&M, but that has a lot more to do with Alabama than it does either of those two schools.
Well, I don't want to get people pissed off at me, but the purpose of the channel is to keep it real. So I'm going to say
I am keeping it real, but that's what I'm saying. I'm keeping it real every way.
That's what I'm saying on my end. That's why I'm going to sell. I think A&M would get there first just because they're close at this moment.
What year do you think that happens?
I don't know if I'm alive. I'm giving A&M an edge because they have a head start. It would. Okay, look, Jimbo Fisher is not a bad coach.
He's a great coach,
and he has built up a program that some people think will contend. Some people think this is a CFP program, right? That's. I'm not saying they're guaranteed, but they're in the conversation. We are still having a conversation about a Texas program that we're going to go into the season that is still going to have to struggle with the Texas Tech. No, God, no, Texas Tech, but TCUs of the world, Oklahoma States, like everyone else in this conference. So you to make that jump if you told me Oklahoma, now Oklahoma probably has a better chance, I would say, Oklahoma probably has a better chance than A&M or Texas, to be honest with you. But right now, I just feel like all I'm going to do is piss off everyone the longer we keep going.
I've got a buy or sell question that's from me that I'm wondering whether or not I should blow up the entire segment with this, because it will.
Go for it.
Buy or sell, you think Jimbo Fisher's a better head coach than Steve Sarkisian?
Yes, I would buy.
He's proven.
I mean, he's proven. He's won a natty, on his own. He won a natty at FSU. He had success at FSU. He's studied under some really, great coaches and what he's done from the turnaround for A&M. So as of today, yes, what we would say is Sarkisian has been a great assistant coach, right? A premier assistant coach. And look, I've had people tell me, that he's the real deal. One of my, good friends, I talked to him this week. I don't have his permission, but anyway, former NFL quarterback, who I'll be
Yes.
talking about, told me he's spoken to so many people about Sarkisian. He goes, that every single person to a man says that guy's the real deal. He goes, it's the first time he's heard about anybody from an assistant realm that's a head coach, and no one's not. Everyone says he's a real dude from a coaching perspective, from just being real with his players, personable. Everyone says he's a really good coach. So it's not a knock, but again, when we're talking about who's ahead of each other at this moment, well, clearly Jimbo's ahead of this moment, and what he's been able to do at A&M, you can't knock.
We've got a question on Twitter from @TrustinCon. A Texas quarterback is drafted in the first round of the 2023 NFL draft.
Ooh, first round though. I'll sell on that one. You would probably buy because you would think it's Hudson. I'm going to because first round is you're talking about one of the top 3 to 4 quarterbacks in the country, and you're talking about a person who, unless it's some sort of anomaly, is probably in the Heisman contention, or at least in the conversation. Tremendous success. So that's tough for me. First round is asking a lot, especially just so many different variables. So I'm going to sell on that.
My heart says buy because I do believe in Hudson Card that much. My head says the mathematical probability is a sell, that there's so many things. Hudson Card could be terrific and go in the second round. You know what I mean? Like,
Jalen Hurts went in the second round.
Exactly. I think there's a world out there where it does happen, but I think I think if you were betting in Vegas, the smart bet would be to sell on that. I'm just letting you know I like where your head is, and it's not outside of the realms of possibilities. Before
you go over that.
Yeah.
What if he said rounds 1 through 3 instead of first round? What if it was what was a day 2 pick? So second or third?
I'll go buy.
Okay. I might buy on day 2.
Because even if at that point that gives us, I don't know that I think Casey Thompson, but if in a world where Casey Thompson is the starting quarterback and beats out Hudson Card, I think I think there's a ceiling there where he's a top 3 pick in the NFL draft under the quarterback whisperer and Steve Sarkisian. Sure. What this really comes down to is whatever quarterback Steve Sarkisian selects to be his guy, he's going to be able to make that guy into a top tier NFL prospect. His history says yes. So I would buy one of these 2 guys being good enough to go first 2 days of the draft.
Yeah, you've got, where'd you get all these good questions from? These are great questions.
I'm getting them from Orange Bloods and Twitter. In fact, our guy Chris Bennett has a question.
Okay. Buy
or sell. Did A&M leak the Texas OU to the SEC story, hoping the backlash would cause the move not to happen?
Buy. We know how this thing works. We understand how this thing is. I think Texas and OU were very content to just do this thing behind the scenes and not have anything come of it. It's no coincidence that the person who covers A&M was the guy who comes out with the story. Hey, to the victor goes the spoil. There's no knock on him at all.
Yeah.
Of course A&M wanted that out. I think A&M was hoping for a little backlash and hoping that it may not happen. What they just didn't anticipate was that they probably weren't going to have many more supporters because SEC is cool with it. It's going to bring in more money. It's going to bring in more notoriety. And I get it, Ketch. When you got your own thing and your own shine, like the last thing you want is someone else to have the same thing, right? Especially if you think it was special. So when me and my first wife, we got divorced, I moved to Cedar Park and I moved out of Steiner Ranch. I moved to Cedar Park. I'm like, cool, my own place. And then she moved to Cedar Park. And I was like, what the hell? Why are you here? This was my place. This is my hood. And now you're here too? Come on. So I totally get it. I'm going to
sell but I want everybody to know that your metaphor and your answer is better than mine. I'm going to sell slightly. That's the best metaphor you've ever made, by the way. And I'm going to think about it all day long. I'm going to sell. I'm simply going, yes, A&M leaked the story. I think why they did it is more pathetic than not wanting the move to happen. I think they knew that Monday, think about it, it's Wednesday. So it's a week ago today. Mm-hmm. They knew then that in 5 days on Monday, Texas and Oklahoma were going to send official. They knew mm-hmm. Texas and Oklahoma are sending the rights that they're not going to renew. They also knew that on Tuesday, Texas and Oklahoma were going to officially apply for the SEC. They're going to vote yes. It's going to be 14-0 unanimous that lets both of these two teams in. What was really pathetic about why they did it, it's the only moment that they had where they could stamp their feet and cry like a little baby. And that's what they did. They leaked it. The AD and the coach were ready for it. They gave their statements. Everybody, they were for a 24-hour news cycle able to say, no, we do not want this. Yeah. And they had to upstage and give up their own day at media day because the SEC is already upset with them that they've kind of had this little bit of a temper tantrum and breaking ranks, even if they've climbed back in. Imagine if they'd done their media day on Wednesday, leaked it on Thursday when some other school was getting ready to have their media day. And so, no, they sabotaged their own media day so that they could throw a temper tantrum. But here we are a week later, and the message from A&M has completely changed. And I think it was less about trying to stop the move because they knew that the move was happening. Mm-hmm. This was about being able to have a moment to be a little bit pissy, and they were a little bit pissy. And I'm not saying they were even wrong to do that.
Sure.
But sometimes you just got to say your piece.
Yeah.
It's a little pathetic, though.
But to your point, Ketch, and it makes sense, though, the last thing they want to hear is a vote from, A&M fans here that it was a 14-0 vote. And they go to, their people and say, wait a second, you guys voted Texas in? What the hell is this about? At least to your point, they get to grandstand a little bit. And then if they vote, they can say, well, we threw our hissy, but there's nothing we could do about it.
All right. I have two last buy or sell questions.
Great questions.
Buy or sell number one comes from Gray Gordon on Orange Bloods. Yeah, buy or sell, the SEC move helps with Arch Manning.
I would buy. And the reason why I would buy, Ketch, is the thing that has been used against Texas in recruiting is that you're not in the SEC. Why do you want to go over there? Why do you want to go in the Big 12? Look at the teams that you're playing against. Is this what you really want to do? By the way, you want to go pro. Can we show you the SEC numbers of guys who are going pro versus the Big 12 numbers? So the thing that has been used and weaponized against Texas in recruiting suddenly comes off the table. I think it makes a huge difference.
I think it's a big buy. I would just say ditto. And I would just add the Mannings are an SEC family. Every member of the Manning has played in the SEC.
You're right.
I have always believed that will always remain the case. Now, Texas can be in the SEC and it would still be the case. I think it's a big deal. Buy or sell from Horn Fan 16 on Orange Bloods. Again, we've had a lot of good questions today. I like this one. The move to the SEC makes an 8-4 record in 2021 hurt a little less because fans now have something to look forward to.
Buy. Absolutely. I buy it like it's Bitcoin at $2 or something, maybe if it was ever at that. But absolutely, because there is something to look forward to. And at the end of the day, what Texas fans get to say is, who cares about this damn conference anyway? I mean, we're just getting and gearing towards the SEC, and we're getting our players ready for SEC football. So they'll view this as a preseason, Ketch. Every season that they're in the Big 12 will be the preseason to the SEC. And we know about preseason games. we don't care about them, right? And that if you win, if they do successful, cool. But if they don't, who cares? It's not the SEC.
I agree, and I lied. There's one more buy or sell question because there was a very special question submission from one of our homies that I don't want to ignore. Adam Lowy from @Lowy Law Firm.
My man. He was a sponsor, so we definitely going to take his question.
No, exactly. I just was scrolling down and I was like, oh, Adam asked a question, and it's a good question. We'll end it on this.
Okay.
Buy or sell. In the first 3 games, Casey Thompson and Hudson Card both play extended time.
First 3 games.
Starks mixing and matching. Both guys are getting reps.
I would sell on that one. I mean, because I think Louisiana is going to require you having one person. I think if you bench one guy, I mean, then you got to go roll with the other one. Obviously, I'm not expecting against Arkansas. So, maybe you have it against Rice. But no, I would just sell on that. I just believe when a starter is named, there's a couple of things with Adam's question. First of all, Hudson Card is named the starter. You ain't going to have to worry about Casey Thompson. Okay. That guy's in the transfer portal. If Casey Thompson or Hudson Card wins the job and he gets it on a Sunday, 2 weeks before that season, I think that Monday he's in the transfer portal. He's packed up. He's gone. Like his dad comes and they move him out. So if Hudson wins, that's not an issue. If Casey wins, though, I still think that's the guy that they're rolling with.
I think I'm going to go sell as well. I think there's a world where Sark could do that if the schedule allowed for it. But Texas is not Ice Cube. They cannot just mess around and get a triple-double. They're not good enough for that. Yeah. They have a legitimate team in the season opener with a veteran quarterback that won't be rotating in and out against that Texas defense. If the goal is to figure out which quarterback is the best and to give them an equal opportunity, then yes, they'll both play extended time in the first 3 games. If the goal is to go 3-0, you're not doing that at home against a good Louisiana team, and you're not doing it on the road at what will become which could be a new SEC rivalry game as soon as really this year. This Arkansas game now takes on a different feel because Texas and Arkansas, this may be the first of what is an annual game into, forever, the unforeseeable future. That game is nationally really interesting all of a sudden. I don't know what the rest of the college football landscape looks like, but that's a pretty good Texas team against a very average to below average Arkansas team. I'll make a wager right now, though, that when that game is played in September, it'll get a lot more hype because of all of the factors that are going on that I think that we've been talking about thus far. That game's going to be fun, way more fun than we already thought it was going to be. And we already knew it was going to be tricky and fun. So that's kind of where I am on Adam's question.
Hey, Ketch, you know what? I'm always down for really good conspiracy theory. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I tinfoil and everything. Any conspiracy theory that when ESPN decided to make this a nighttime game versus Arkansas, a 3-win season, they had an idea of what might be coming.
Well, we know that they did.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they just, sometimes there's no such things as coincidences. And what's the movie about the Mexican mafia not believing in coincidence? I forget what's one of the lines from there. Seems like that's a hell of a coincidence that's a nighttime game, Texas at Arkansas, SEC. That should have been a daytime game if we're just keeping it real. But it ends up being on ESPN at night.
Out of that Anwar. It's going to be a big, highly promoted, much discussed affair. It'll be Texas's first SEC game, I think, is the way that thing will be built. Look, I got to go. I got to make a phone call. I got some NIL stuff that I've got to do. By the way, stay tuned. We're going to have news on that front. We've got 3 deals currently with NIL at Texas in their compliance, waiting to approve the deals. I think we're going to sign several more before the week is over. So stay tuned because the YouTube channel's about to get lit. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for Geoff Ketchum and Anwar Richardson and the Orange Bloods Texas Football YouTube channel. We will talk to you tomorrow. You guys be good to each other. Later.